Hey, welcome back to another edition of Avidgolfer Magazine's Fearless Fantasy Forecast. Now, last week we won money on 2 of the 4 teams. Done even better if Xander would have pulled that one out. But that's 9 out of 10 weeks we've made money. Now, gentleman to my right is not Craig Rosengarten. He's out on a business trip. So in his stead is the rosy-cheeked Eli Jordan, our executive editor here at Avidgolfer Magazine. Also does Country Force on the ticket right after the TeeBox. So, this week we have the ZOZO Championship, Eli, or the ZOZO Challenge, whichever you want to call it. This is Tiger's tournament. It's played out at Sherwood, I believe. It
was in Japan last year, I believe.
Yeah, it was. This year's going to be over there. And so there's no cut, just like last week at the CJ Cup. Strength of field is 656, so pretty stout.
A lot of good players.
Yep. So with no cut, got to kind of figure out if you're going to have a lot of birdie guys, or, I mean, again, they could flame out, or they could have some great backdoor final round finishes. So if I'll go first this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to take on 2 teams. I'm going to take Bubba Watson. He came in 7th last week at the CJ Cup, and he's playing pretty well. And he makes a lot of birdies. He'll make some eagles on you. So I'm taking him. And then a value pick is Lanto Griffin, also finished 7th last week. And I needed to round it out with a 7 grand player. That's what I did. By the way, Dustin Johnson's out again with the Roni. So if you're thinking about taking him, do not. Rounding up my other teams, Tiger Woods. Taking a flyer on him. Flyer on Tiger. Well, he's come in first 5 times, second 5 times in 14 events there. Pretty darn good. Now, it all depends on what kind of rust he's got. If he can putt. But I'm taking him, taking Terrell Hatton, maybe the hottest golfer on the planet. In his last 3 events, a 3rd, a 1st, and a 1st. Abraham Answer, again, a value play, tie for 28th, tie for 4th. And, yep, I took him. Phil Mickelson.
Okay.
All right, 2 straight geezer wins. Again, no cut. He's either crash or burn, or he'll be on top of the leaderboard. He's fun to watch, and I took him he's just a hunch. Other team, Webb Simpson. 5 straight top 15s. Guy's been money every time. Tony Finau hasn't played since he had the Roni, but his last 2 events he finished 8th and 7th, and if nothing else, he probably won't win because he's only won 1 time, but his top 10s are enormous, amazing. Adam Scott, another hunch. Don't love the pick, but for some reason my gut says to take him, and every time I don't listen to my gut, it burns me. And finally, Taylor Gooch, another value pick. He was tied for 5th last week at the CJ Cup. So that's my 2 teams. Eli, it's all yours.
Okay, so 2 teams. I've got John Rahm spearheading my first team. One of the top players in the world. He's got enough length. This is a course that features 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s.
Yeah.
So the extra distance could help, but it is a Nicklaus design, so a lot of times that's target golf, which Rahm can also have some success there. I've got Tiger Woods. He's played Sherwood a billion times, grew up kind of in that area, so it's his tournament. Again, you're worried about rust, but Tiger is a good player. I think you should be able to knock the rust off, especially the course he's comfortable on. I've got Scotty Scheffler, who was solid pretty much all year, but the thing that kind of got me about Scotty Scheffler, he's 22nd in approaches from 200 to 225 yards, an average of about 34 feet from the hole.
Ooh, good.
With 5 par 5s, that could be a big benefit if you're hitting the ball from 215, 220 out. Like you, I took Abe Answer, another great iron player, should be beneficial again on a course that has a lot of par 3s and a lot of par 5s. He doesn't hit the ball very far, but if he does choose to kind of take the Zach Johnson approach and lay up on all the par 5s, proximity to the hole, obviously a good thing there. I took Joel Damon, tied for 38th last week, got a little momentum. A little bit of momentum, was in the top 40 in driving accuracy in 2020. Not bad value there. And then Ryan Palmer to round out my first team. He tied for 17th last week. He's 11th in birdie average coming into the week.
Smelling what you're cooking.
So second team, I've got Webb Simpson. Again, a guy that's not long by any stretch, but on a target-type golf course like this, precision can be key, especially Nicklaus designs. I like Webb Simpson. I've got Matthew Wolfe. Now, I know what you're thinking. He was terrible last week. But Matt Wolfe grew up about 10 minutes from this golf course and said last week that he's literally played it thousands of times with his friends. You have to figure, even though he played bad last week, he should have some good success this week. I've got Abe Answer and Tiger Woods on my second team as well for the reasons we discussed. And then rounding out my second team, I've got Paul Casey. been super consistent, finished first in total driving last season. Keeping it in the fairway is obviously a good thing. And then, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I took Jordan Spieth as my final player on my second team.
7,300?
He's got pretty good value at this point because he hasn't done much.
And it's a no-cut.
And it's a no-cut event, and at some point the putter's got to get hot for 2 days, right? Where he doesn't make the 3 birdies in a row and then take a triple, or 2 birdies in a row and then make a triple. I just feel like at some point it's got to turn for the better, and he's going to have a hot putter for a couple of rounds, and I think maybe this is the week. So
one can only hope. And then Craig Rosengarten's picks, as he phoned these in to me on a top-secret encrypted email. He took Daniel Berger on one team, Patrick Cantley, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Mick Fleetwood, Adam Scott, and Lanto Griffin. On the other team, took Berger again, Tyrrell Hatton, took Danny Lee, Rory McIlroy, and Sebastian Munoz. Sebastian Munoz is a good pick. He's a value pick, and he came in 9th last week. He's done pretty well.
Just so we're clear, he did take Mick Fleetwood.
Yes, he did take Mick Fleetwood, Tommy Fleetwood.
Just making sure.
I'm just doing that because Craig wasn't here, so he probably would have said that. And his stone cold lock for a top 5 finish, Daniel Berger.
Okay.
So there you go. There's your Fearless Fantasy Forecast. Please subscribe to our YouTube page, Avidgolfer Magazine. And as always, bet responsibly or not, but have fun and check out our teams because we're on a roll. There you go.